afternoon. It's the Pit Stop Monday edition. Doing something different this week. We're going to try it out. Of course, Monday races just happened over the weekend. I'm going to go back and review those races. I know we normally did a show on Wednesdays or Thursdays, depending on the news of the week, and kind of put it all together. Well, I kind of felt that the recap of the week, halfway through the week, end of the week, was a lot of the show, and it was irrelevant at that point. We all know what happened the weekend before, so to get more relevant, going to recap the weekend here on Mondays. Then we'll do our regular show on we're going to go Thursdays probably. This week, though, a look ahead to Bristol this week will be on Wednesday because, of course, this week, Thursday night, truck race. There at Bristol, Friday night, Xfinity, Saturday Cup Series race there as well. So we'll go Wednesday this week for the look ahead to this weekend. We might keep it on Wednesdays. This is our trial week here to see where we are. But this show here on Monday, well, set up to look back at the weekend, be relevant in that moment. And I didn't get to catch the race on Sunday live because of some football duties that I had out there. Was able to go back and get it watched later on in the evening. And boy, oh boy, WWTR is a racetrack. That's all you can say about it. The racing leads to strategies, etc. It was a fantastic race in terms of the finish, right? Denny Hamlin, before he got the lead, was fun in the Cup Series. Xfinity Series, Connor Zilisch is just dominating that series right now. We're similar in the Truck Series with Corey Heim. Connor Zilisch in the Xfinity Series just dominating it there. Cup Series, a little bit more intrigue here with them, but seems like the winner pulls away at the end coming up. Of course, Bristol, a completely different racetrack. We'll talk about that later in the week, but now let's look back here at the Xfinity race there. On Saturday night, I should say, or afternoon, I should say, there at WWTR as well. Last regular season race here for the Xfinity Series. Playoffs are now set. Who gets in, who doesn't? Well, some of the intrigue was taken out of this during the race, but Connor Zilisch, as you know, wins here again. 7 of the last 8 races were won by Connor in his 88 car. 4th straight win for him as well. Folks, he is going into the playoffs just hot as can be. Do we have a Corey Heim situation here where Connor Zilisch is a prohibitive favorite here going into the NASCAR Xfinity playoffs, and it's just going to be disappointed if he doesn't, in fact, win the Xfinity Championship the way that he is racing right now for him. 9th victory of the year for Connor and his team, 10th of his career. Keep in mind, he's 19 years old, and this is his rookie season. I know everybody talks about it, but it has to be said because he is dominating at this age out there. He even won the pole in this race to get the win from that side. 4th straight win, as I said. And look, he led 121 of 160 laps here in this race. There for the Xfinity Series. It's just a dominating fashion by him going into these playoffs. Can anybody touch him going into the playoffs? He has to be the prohibitive favorite going into this. Not as much as Corey Heim, I don't think. Corey Heim has to win the Truck Series championship to validate his season. Connor Zilisch, I feel, is right on that precipice to get there. He's had competition here in these races to win it. Corey Heim just kind of dominated the whole season. Connor Zilisch is hot here later here in this race as well. So interesting things happened in this race. Like I said, things played out during this race that kind of took the suspense of the last playoff spot or even the regular season championship out of it. Like, for instance, lots of restarts here in the Xfinity race. Well, here's one of the restarts here and a lot of chaos happening. Here it is, Xfinity 1.
These restarts. Checkup back there. Looks like that Sheldon Creed didn't get going. Sam Mayer's around.
Big contact through the dirt.
Sanchez into Justin Allgaier there.
Oh, Ryan C. gets into Allgaier. But you're right. Creed had a hard time, whether he missed a shift
Look at the
or
side
something
of that
broke in that car.
Yeah, so something was happening. He was slow, and then I believe his teammate Sam Mayer actually clips him. So, yeah, you see he barely gets going. They try to avoid him. Sam Mayer gets squeezed between his teammate and Corey Day there then spun around in front of the field, and then the melee breaks out.
But he's just trying to.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and almost either
Like
missed a
the
shift or
shift.
just lost all power right there. And you see Sam now just trying to gather it up.
There you see the
That
7 car that's
honestly,
just
that
an
could've been a lot worse
Allgaier.
than what it was right there.
Couple of guys up in the top 6 need a win to make their way into the playoffs. Eckes and Sawalich, something to be thinking about. They were able to escape the mess here that has produced our 5th caution of the night.
The other thing to think about is it's going to give Jesse Love another shot.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, we think alike, Adam. That's why, you know, it's
He
just
could take it
brilliant
down,
minds.
that Kobe.
He
But
did not.
I left a lot of that in there because on the replays, because they made some good points. A lot of guys survived that wreck that are still alive. They need a win to get into the playoffs. Still alive at that point. Then you got Sam Mayer, long shot for the regular season championship, out of the race. Out of it with all that damage and things like that. Number 7, Justin Allgaier, teammate to Connor Zilic, needs a great race to have a chance at the regular season championship. Kind of not a long a shot as other people, but needed a good race there. Obviously, that damage keeps him from winning the regular season championship. So, and then knowing Connor Zilic wins this race, well, Connor Zilic gets the regular season championship as well, which he would have won anyway if he won the race, but kind of lessens the competition and kind of takes some of that out there with that Allgaier damage there as well in his regular season championships. Coach dash there. So Connor Zilic picks up that regular season championship. 15 points additional in the playoffs until the championship round. He gets those 15 extra points. It's just a little buffer you get in case something disastrous happens out there. There was another late restart in this race. Well, check out Xfinity 2.
88-19 leading us to the green.
Oh, the 19's going to have some momentum right here.
William got in the back of Connor Zilic, had him spin the tires.
Connor drove in really deep. We'll see if he's able to make it stick. You see the 19 going to get a little bit of momentum, but down the backstretch.
Look at JD coming inside lane. Zilic nearly got in the wall. 3 wide for second. That's Sawalich in the outside coming for the runner-up spot.
Wow, the momentum of that outside lane. So good down the backstretch.
It's like he overdrove it a little bit. Jesse loves the inside, but he's going to clear them. They're now 3 wide back there.
Look at Eckes coming to the inside.
Look at that battle there on that restart. To me, the restarts were fun here. Once the racing got spread out a little bit, got a little typical drab racing out there, but I did love those restarts and the power behind them. Other notes, right? Jeb Burton outside of the playoffs looking in. His cousin, of course, had the last spot there. Harrison Burton. Well, Jeb Burton, basically his playoff hopes were dashed. Lap 100, flat tire, shoots. Excuse me. Shoots into the wall. Jeb Burton's day was done. Jeb Burton's playoff hopes were done as well. So they needed a first-time winner here. Otherwise, the playoff field was set, which we ended up getting in this race side. So in terms of playoff drivers and what we're looking at it, William Sawalich there, finished second. Christian Eckes there in third. Jesse Love fifth for the guys that, kind of looking at it on the outside, looking in. Excuse me for 1 second, folks. And who's going to make it into the playoffs? Obviously, some guys needed a win. Sawalich was one of them that needed a win. Finished second in this race. Christian Eckes needed a win. Finished third in this race. Now, not very close to Connor Zilic, but making a battle there to get in there, right? Connor Zilic, as I said, 121 laps led in this race. So that means we have playoff races ready to go. Regular season championship there for Connor Zilic. By the way, Harrison Burton finished 22nd in this race. Wasn't like he dominated at all, but obviously with his cousin going out early, Taylor Gray in this race needed some good finishing, positions in order to advance on here as well. And look, they got it done because we have guys, that qualify for this playoff race because of Connor Zilic getting the other win there. So let's throw up the playoff standings as of right now, as they are set here after the Worldwide Technology Raceway race here. And folks, playoffs are ready to go. Bristol being the first race for these guys. Connor Zilic obviously first place with his 9 wins, 59 points, playoff points for him. 64 total playoff points, 59, right, going into this level on the plus side here for that one spot. His teammate Justin Allgaier, second there in the regular season standings. They're 35 points there for the playoffs. Then you got Sam Mayer, who went out of that race in that big wreck, 16 points for his playoff points here going into this first round in the first race. Then you got Jesse Love, Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, JR Motorsports driver as well, like Connor Zillett and Justin Allgaier, has 9 points here in that 6th spot. Nick Sanchez, Carson Kvapil there in that 8th and final spot. Now, keep in mind, 3 races, playoff events here. Win, you move on. Otherwise, you need to get in. So underneath the cut line here in the first 4 eliminations here, as we go from 12 to 8 here in this first round. Taylor Gray, who qualifies in off the points, 9th spot there. Sheldon Creed in the 10th spot. Harrison Burton. And then, obviously, because he has no playoff points, you're looking at Austin Hill in that 12th spot. Austin Hill had a dominant season when he was winning these races and getting points. Lost them all, of course, in that disqualification. He sits at the very end of this deal. Austin Hill is in an uphill position, no pun intended, in this playoff race to get out of this spot. Can he do it in advance to the round of 8? Absolutely. Absolutely he can. Will he? That's another story here for Austin Hill moving forward. So the drivers below the elimination line going into this first round, Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, Harrison Burton, and Austin Hill. Interesting enough, the 2 drivers, if I'm going to speculate here and just give you my thoughts, the 2 drivers I think that will do enough to advance, Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed, which means 2 drivers at the top level need to be pushed down. And it's either going to be Brandon Jones, Sammy Smith, Nick Sanchez, or Carson Kvapil are going to fall down. So you can see a swap here of 2 drivers fall down, but which of the 4 that I just named are going to be the 2 that drop down in this racetrack is the bigger question that you have going into this very competitive Xfinity Racing Playoff Series. Let's throw up the playoff bracket. Of course, NASCAR does the bracket series as well here. Let's throw up the bracket here just so you guys get the playoff format. For those of you that don't follow NASCAR, don't understand the playoff format, they don't do it like other sports with a regular season champion or anything to that effect. You have to win each round to move on. Win each round to get into it as well. Of course, first race of this series is going to be Bristol, going into this race as well. So, and anything can happen at Bristol as well. Then Kansas is the second race here, and then you got the Charlotte Roval as the third race in this first round. You win, you move on if you're a playoff driver. If not, you have to point your way in to move on here to that second round. The second round will be Las Vegas, Talladega, and then Martinsville in the third round, the round of 8. And then it shrinks down to the final 4, which, of course, championship here in Phoenix right now. So if I was a betting man, I would put Sheldon Creed advancing, Austin Hill advancing. The only thing I can't figure out is which 2 drivers are going to fall down into the bottom side. My initial reaction is Nick Sanchez is probably going to move down, and Carson Kvapil is probably going to move down as well. But I'm not sold on Sammy Smith. Sammy Smith, I could see get eliminated here in this first round as well, coming up for the Xfinity Series. So I don't know. Did you guys enjoy the WWTR race out there? I mean, some strategy was involved as they drove around. It's hard. It's good to have a dominant race car driver. He's a rookie. He's 19 years old. We know he's going to the Cup Series next year. You had some spectacular, like Jeb Burton's, had fire coming out of his right front wheel well and everything. And he drove it back to pit road before, after he ran into that wall. So, Jeb Burton, that was kind of exciting to watch as well on that side. But it's hard to get excited when you have a dominant guy in these races right now. Now that the playoffs have started, might be different, right? It's kind of like the Truck Series. Do we have a dominant enough driver that needs to win it? Will it be interested if he gets in a little bit of trouble? Will that make it more interesting going forward. It's just in this race here with Worldwide Technology Raceway. I get it. It's a race, right? You second and third place needed a win to move on. Couldn't get it done ahead of Connor Zilic. But so to me, it was a race where a lot of the intrigue went away early. Call me what you will. Allgaier's damage, and then Jeb Burton getting knocked out of this race. Harrison Burton being able to get out of that spin there early in that race and then finish the race at 22nd and able to move on to the playoffs, right? So a lot of intrigue out of this, and the playoffs, I think, will bring back some of that intrigue coming up for them. Some guys in the playoffs have not been running well lately at all. Sammy Smith is one of them I want to point to that we have to pay attention to, and Carson Kvapil as well. Engine problems took him out of this race on Saturday night, 38 laps into it for him. Bristol's a race where anything can happen. We all know this about Bristol. Guys can wreck out, guys pushing it at the end. So do we get a playoff winner this weekend? We'll have more on that on Wednesday when we do our look-ahead show to this week with the news happening during the week. And then, of course, look ahead to the Bristol side of things. Next race here for the Xfinity Series is going to be playoffs race 1 of 3, as I told you. Bristol Motor Speedway Friday night, 4:30 p.m. Phoenix time. Of course, on the CW, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Coming up again, Wednesday will be our look-ahead show to that race with the news of the week that's happening. But news that did break, of course, Sammy Smith is going to return to JR Motorsports in 2026. He has officially done that because JR Motorsports announced this earlier today for Sammy Smith. So he will continue to obviously drive the number 8 Chevrolet there for them. Obviously, next year's the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series coming on that side. It'll be his 3rd year behind the JR Motorsports Chevrolet, and same sponsors and things like that. So coming up now, so what kind of playoff run does Sammy Smith? This signing takes a little bit of pressure off of Sammy Smith. So if he does underperform, gets knocked out in the first round of this playoffs, he has that ride next year. Or does this free him up for an extended ride on the Xfinity Series is kind of my question that I got moving forward on the Xfinity side. So there's the news there coming into it. Good racing. Playoffs are set here on the Xfinity Series. And, folks, when we come back here, let's get right into it. The Cup Series, of course, race number 2 of their 3-race first-round series. And I got to apologize to Denny Hamlin. I was wrong on his expectations for him after that first week. Yeah, I know. You got to do a lot of apologizing to him. Come on back. We'll talk Cup Series weekend over there outside of St. Louis there in Illinois. Come on back, folks. It's the Pit Stop. And we're back here at the Pit Stop, trying something new this week. I've been thinking about doing it for a while now, and well, this is the week we're pulling the trigger on it. A review show of the racing over the weekend here on Monday. We'll do a look-ahead show on Wednesday coming up. That'll look ahead, of course, to Bristol in the weekend. Have my picks for then. Look kind of that and all the news that happens throughout the week. Of course, this is a weird week around NASCAR. Thursday night Truck Series racing as their playoffs get back underway after the off week. On Thursday night, Friday night, Xfinity there at Bristol, and then Sunday, Saturday night, under the lights at Bristol coming up. Of course, we just talked about Xfinity weekend and how their playoffs are now finally set. Playoffs are underway. Set the stage here for race 1 of their first round here coming up this weekend. The Cup Series, on the other hand, race 2 happened there at WWTR. They're outside of St. Louis, and race 2, I said going into this race, going into the playoffs, Denny Hamlin with all this 23-11 talk, I said he needs to win that first race to kind of take pressure off of him. Well, he goes and wins the pole of that first race and doesn't have a good race there at all in their first race of that season. Then this week wins the pole again, and I go, all right, Denny Hamlin is going to have another one of those races, struggle in this one after winning the race. Well, boy, am I wrong. So I need to apologize to Mr. Hamlin for, all formal now, for just doubting his racing ability here in this first round. I just thought a lot of the distractions were there when he's dealing with this 23-11 lawsuit and getting ready for that trial, if there are settlement talks or whatever. Well, second straight pole there. He's won the pole for obviously both playoff rounds, and then he gets the win there at WWTR and does it in kind of commanding fashion after he takes the lead there later on in the race as well. So 5th win of the season for Denny Hamlin. 59th career win, by the way, almost to 60. 200th career win for Toyota. That's what this win meant here for not just Denny Hamlin, his team advancing to the next round of the playoffs automatically, but also Joe Gibbs Racing. First 2 playoff wins have been Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. 2 of the 3 winners here in this first round, Joe Gibbs Racing drivers. That team for an organization that struggled lately, Christopher Bell, etc., struggling out there. Fantastic start to the playoffs for them. Definitely out there. There was, before we get into the Denny Hamlin type of stuff and everything, well, some controversy here in this race that could have implications later on in these playoffs and everything. The Hendrick Motorsports guys have struggled out there in this playoffs. First race was terrible. Awful, if I may dare say that they were awful out there as well. Terrible, awful. I don't know what word is worse than that, but that was their first round race there for them. Then in this race, well, a little bit better, I guess you could say. I mean, Chase Elliott did finish 3rd here for Hendrick Motorsports, right? Kyle Larson finished 12th for them here as well. So a little bit better because they were before, I think, wasn't it 17th and worse for the Hendrick Motorsports guys going into this race. But, Alex Bowman, 26th for him. So, some mixed bags here as they're battling it out. But the big news here, well, one, playoff driver Josh Berry, another terrible race. For his playoffs are coming to an end quickly here in the first round. 36th on this, that accident there on lap 35 for Josh Berry. Got spun around, hit the wall, out of this race. So one playoff driver. I mean, I don't think a lot of people had Josh Berry advancing in this round, but this has been disastrous for him in that 21 Ford for Josh Berry and his team here in the playoff run, right? But Larson's out there battling with Ryan Blaney here in this race, right? A lap 135. Larson's behind Blaney. They're not even battling for anything, right? They're just racing out there and whatnot. Well, I tell you what, let's just go to the in-car here. By the way, NASCAR does a great job with their in-cars. They put them out on their social medias. You can watch it also. This is what I got from their social medias because the broadcast kind of missed what happened between these guys, but the in-car shows it clear as possible. Cup 1 here, Larson Blaney in-car here, going around the racetrack, lap 135. I mean, that's just spinning him, and causing Ryan Blaney. Now, Ryan Blaney, he's mad about it. We'll go to after the race here because this could have future race implications here in the playoffs. And like I said, Hendrick Motorsports guys, Larson not running well right now. They get some momentum. Does somebody do some payback at that time, right? After the race, well, they stick the microphone in his face after the race. And everything. I believe this is from NBC after the race is where we get this from. But Larson talking about specifically that incident. This is a 1A.
Just told him I messed up. I wasn't meaning to obviously go in there and hit him. I was just the lap before I had got in there and got inside of him, slid up, got to his door and got him tight and got to where I could race him down the front stretch and was just trying to do that again and was a little bit further back into 3 than I was the lap before and just misjudged, the point of where I wasn't going to get next to him and try to tuck in, and I just clipped him. So, yeah, all on me, but wasn't intentional at all. So I hope he understands that. Obviously, I hurt his day where you could have gained more points. But, all in all, I mean, outside of that, it was a great race for us.
I said NBC earlier. I meant USA. That's where they're broadcasting these races at right now. But, I mean, look, he's like apologetic, said it wasn't on purpose. Ryan Blaney, well, you don't know anything about Ronnie Blaney, inside of a car, outside of a car, seems like a nice human. Talked to him multiple times, seems like a nice dude. But in a car, I've heard his in-car radio, and he gets a little angry at times. Here's Ryan Blaney's thoughts on what Kyle Larson did.
I just wanted to know what I did to deserve it. And he just said he made a mistake, and that's fine, make mistakes, but at the end of the day, I still got turned. He came from all the way on the bottom of the racetrack and hit me in the left rear. I know he most likely didn't mean to do it, but it happened anyway, and so that's just one I got to remember. But I was happy we bounced back, after getting turned around, and did a good job of kind of timing out where we need to be and having a good enough car to get back to Ford. So proud of the effort. Appreciate Menards and Pennzoil Ford for a good day and good recovery, and go on to Bristol next week.
That's what's amazing to me. He still finished fourth, folks, and he's still mad about it. Lap 135. It was 5 laps before the end of stage 2, I believe, is when that happened, if I remember correctly. And he's still mad about it. And the key phrase there was, I'll have to remember that. This could have playoff implications coming up here in the future. Ryan Blaney's not going to do anything to, cause him a spot or anything like that. But something to pay attention to if he's down a little bit, right? And Larson's coming up on him. Can he distract him? Can he hold him up a little bit? It's kind of something to see there. And, he holds grudges. He remembers things. And I don't know what's going on with that Kyle Larson Hendrick Motorsports team, because it has been atrocious here this second half of the season for them there. So just something to keep an eye on coming up here. My thoughts on it, Larson just got careless on it. And, it sucks. You didn't mean to do it, but you cost a driver points. You cost a driver, you had to get back to fourth. What could he have done if you didn't do that at that point? Obviously, spins, you go to the back of the pack. You have to work harder to get to the front, and car setup could be a little different while you're going through traffic and things like that. So it's big implications on what happened there with Larson. And I don't think Larson did it on purpose. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, apologize all you want. Still happened out there, right? So that's that situation to pay attention to. Of course, Denny Hamlin ends up winning this race. Cup 2. Let's check out the checkered flag here.
And in just 2 turns and half a straight, he's going to make it 4 different winners in 4 years. What a run from Denny Hamlin. He has led the most laps. Hamlin wins in St. Louis and books a spot in the round of 12.
Oh, boys, 200 for Toyota DH. Great job. Great execution, everyone. To be proud of that.
Coach Gibbs is smiling because his drivers have won the first 2 races of the playoffs.
Proud of you.
I mean, that's phenomenal for Joe Gibbs Racing. And of course, you saw Coach Gibbs there. If you don't know him, ex-football coach, been in NASCAR for a lot of years now, and things like that. Denny Hamlin, and you see there, right? A couple drivers needed wins to advance, right, in this race. Several of them did. And the playoff drive, I'm sorry, not drivers needing to advance. Playoff drivers needed some wins here, right, to balance it. The top 5 drivers were playoff drivers. And then there was a non-playoff driver, and then 2 more playoff drivers after that. So in the top 8, 7 of the 8 were playoff drivers, all wanting to advance in this. Chase Briscoe, of course, already advancing, finished second here. His teammate Denny Hamlin, obviously, first. You see the difference there, the distance between them out there. Chase Briscoe, we just talked about Ryan Blaney rebounding from that spin there from Kyle Larson, finishing 4th. Fantastic run for him to get back to that 4th spot. Chase Briscoe, early in this race, had a low tire on pit road, had to overcome that, and still gets up there, finishes 2nd for him as well. I know Bob Pockrass had Chase Briscoe in his final 4 here in this race season. I kind of joked about it, but the way they are running right now in these first 2 races of the playoffs, he's not kidding. That Chase Briscoe team is somebody to watch out for here going forward from that. And, of course, if you know anything about this, I'm not the biggest Denny Hamlin fan on the racetrack. He complains a lot in my eyes. He complains about what other drivers do, and then he goes out and does the same thing to him and then has an excuse on why he can do it but nobody else can. It drives me nuts. Denny Hamlin drives me nuts on a racetrack. But I do love when he wins and kind of how he plays the crowd out there. We got to check in on Denny Hamlin after the race number 3.
Man, it's just a great victory. Love that Denny Time flag poster right there. Is pretty good. And, y'all can boo me, but you can either get on the bandwagon or you can get run over by it.
You still love the boos?
Bring them. Bring them all.
Denny Hamlin welcomes the boos, but you know what? He delivers with win number 59 here, and he's advanced on to the round of 12 with a big win in St. Louis.
I just love how he does that to the crowd. It's fantastic with what he says out there. So Denny Hamlin advancing, of course, to the next round. Let's go ahead and throw up those playoff standings for everybody here. Refresh you. Obviously, Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin both winning in the round of 16. So now they move on to the round of 12 coming up as well. So that leaves one winning spot available. Obviously, race 3 of 3 here in the round of 16 coming up this weekend. You can see Kyle Larson going to point in. Bubba Wallace, who had a good race, won stage 2 here at WWTR. They're in the 4th spot. Ryan Blaney in the 5th spot. All 42 points and up for those guys going into this last race. William Byron. Then you got Tyler Reddick, 37 points up. Christopher Bell, who has not been racing well, and he was not happy after the race, Christopher Bell. He is not happy with the way they've been finishing. He had the best start to the season and has just floundered afterwards. And now he's watching 2 of his teammates win in this first round of the playoffs, Denny Hamlin and Chase Briscoe. And he is not. He is finishing, I believe he finished 8th in this race here coming into this point. But he is, of course, on the positive side there in that 8th spot, 32 points up. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, look at him. He was under the cut line coming into this race, and now 10th place, 21 points to the positive side for Joey Logano. Gives him some breathing room here. So he's not on that backside of that at all. Ross Chastain there in the 11th spot, then Austin Cindric. Only 11 points up for him. Ross Chastain, 19 points up on the positive side, which means under the cup line, Austin Dillon, obviously Shane Van Gisbergen can switch this and win in on points and get in on points if they have good racing coming up here at Bristol on that side. I'm just talking points. Obviously, anybody wins besides Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin, they advance, obviously into the next round automatically. Austin Dillon, Shane Van Gisbergen can point up and get to the other side. Will they? No, they will not, unless they win this race coming up. That's my prediction. But again, Bristol, we could have an early race here where Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, even Logano or Elliott can get knocked out of this race early, which would give them an opportunity. Guys that aren't advancing unless they win, Alex Bowman and Josh Berry. I mean, Josh Berry, just some terrible luck here in these first 2 races. He's got to win to move on. He ain't winning to move on. So, Josh Berry, I hope you enjoyed your first round of the playoffs. I know I'm predicting, some stuff here, but Alex Bowman, again, he needed to get into the playoffs because I do believe his car is in danger in Hendrick Motorsports. He made it into the playoffs. Maybe that probably gives him some breathing room going into next year. But obviously getting knocked out in the first round with the way they've been racing is not ideal either. Something to keep an eye on here, of course, for Alex Bowman moving forward for him in this side. So basically, in my opinion, unless somebody, like I said, in the outside looking up, Shane Van Gisbergen and Austin Dillon are the outside guys you want to pay attention to this weekend. Can they get enough points? Can they finish high enough in this race? Can they do some stage stuff here to advance up into that cut line side and advance on points for them coming up here? Other than that, I think a lot of people are safe going into this race this weekend, unless, like I said, it's Bristol, though. An early race, like Josh Berry, you get knocked out of this early, all bets are off for them coming forward here. So this is going to be a fun race at Bristol this week. Bristol Motor Speedway, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Phoenix time, which, of course, is where we record. Somebody messaged me and said, oh, it's not Eastern time. I have no interest in watching you. I was like, okay. What is it, past your bedtime when you want to watch it? This kind of cracked me up. 7:30 p.m. Eastern over there at Bristol this weekend as well for them. News around NASCAR that's out here early on this Monday. Haas Factory, this came out over the weekend. Haas Factory team is switching to Chevrolet coming up in 2026 for them as well. And, not just, they have, of course, have the one Cup driver. This is the old Stewart-Haas team that kind of broke apart. They sold some charters. He kept the one here on the Cup side as well. So the full-time Cup Series program and the 2 full-time Xfinity Series programs are going to be, moving over to Chevrolet for 2026 as well. So Ford this year, Chevrolet next year for them out there. Not only that, they're going to have a technical alliance with Hendrick Motorsports, which is just going to make them stronger as well, as they get to utilize some of the Hendrick Motorsports stuff, who does spend more money than Haas Factory Team does in terms of R&D out there for them. So they're going to have Hendrick-built engines across both series in their cars, which is kind of where you get that strategic alliance between these two teams coming up. So, Haas Factory Team, interesting enough, Gene Haas founded back in 2002 with the Haas CNC Racing as well. Obviously him and Tony Stewart partnered up for a bunch of years for that Stewart-Haas Racing and everything. They all ran Chevrolets back in the day. I think 2016, 2017 season is when, they started moving around at that point for them. So that is going. Of course, Cole Custer is going to continue driving that 41 car in the Cup Series. Sheldon Creed and Sam Mayer, they're going to return there in their cars in the Xfinity O'Reilly Auto Parts Series next year, right? They're the 00 and the 41 cars there in that Xfinity/O'Reilly series for next year. Still running, same drivers going into this, just switching manufacturers next year as well. So for them out there, that's the big news on, of course, the Xfinity series going into next year when they turn to O'Reilly. And look, folks, we're doing a new format this week. This show here on Monday, look back at the weekend. Try to get the recap and everything early on in the week when it's fresh off the presses. Of course, we'll come back Wednesday this week, go on demand. Robat TV is where you can catch us on demand. YouTube is where we're on demand as well. Of course, free podcast on Podbean right now is the only free podcast location here. Well, when we come back on Wednesday, we'll get you all of the breaking news throughout the week. And, of course, look ahead to Thursday night's playoff truck race there at Bristol. Friday night's Xfinity race, Cup Series, Saturday night under the race as well. Come and join us Wednesday as well for our look ahead. And we'll try this new format for a few weeks and see how it goes. Reach out to me, of course, at the Pit Stop Talk on X, Facebook. Let me know if you like this new format moving forward. Twice a week shows. Hey, what can go wrong there? See y'all Wednesday with the Look Ahead show, folks. See you then.